What's up, my comic comrades? Today we're finally giving you the full history of Sentry because he's making his MCU debut in the Thunderbolts. So we're going to talk about his origin, history, story arcs, publication history, powers and abilities, and then cap it off, as we always do, with reading recommendations. Now, if you've already watched our Origin of Sentry episode, obviously his origin is going to sound familiar as his origin has not changed. But if you haven't or just want a refresher, let's get into it. First thing to note is that Sentry is actually a fairly new character, as he was first introduced in the Sentry issue 1 by Paul Jenkins and artist Jay Lee, which was published in September of 2000. That became a 5-issue miniseries that gave us what is still the best version of Sentry's origin to date. Issue 1 starts off with the man who would become Sentry, Robert Reynolds, waking up in bed saying he's back. His wife Lindy says, "Bob, is someone here?" He says to himself, "It's nothing. She doesn't need to know. Tell her it's nothing." She then asks again, "Bob, what is it, hun?" He tells her, "Nothing, Lindy. Just go back to sleep, okay? I need to let the dog out. It's just a storm. I'll take care of it." Robert walks downstairs and says, "It wasn't just your imagination. It was real, you know it. That was a sound you've not heard since. How long has it been? Months? Years maybe? Could it have been that long?" Everything seems so distant, as if you're coming awake from a perpetual dream. "What's happened to you, Bob? Where have you been?" As he goes to his bookshelf to grab a book, he continues to tell himself, "You try to remember how you got here, into this house even, but it's as though you're looking at your memories through someone else's eyes. Only you know you heard the laughter. It's a sound you promised yourself you'd never forget. No doubt about it, the void has returned." After all this time, somehow he's found a way back to Earth. You imagine you can see him hiding in the storm. That would be just how he'd make his play. If it is the void, he'll be stronger than ever before. The danger will be beyond measure. After, there will only be one hope for humanity: you. As we see him open the book and take out a bottle of something, saying, "It's here." We then get the origin of his Sentry retro style, and it bounces back and forth from how he got his powers to him in the present. The bottle hidden inside of the book is the formula that gave him his powers. And I gotta say, I love how they interwove his origin in Silver Age Marvel style, with it saying, "Startling stories featuring the Sentry with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns." You asked for it, loyal readers. Introducing the greatest of them all, the Golden Guardian of Good. Are you ready for the secret of the Sentry? We then get Robbie as a young man discovering the Professor's secret formula, as he says, "Gosh, this must be the Professor's secret formula." A formula that was trying to recreate the super soldier serum. We also see Robbie holding it in the present while talking to his dog, saying, "We must be vigilant, watchdog, for we are humanity's only hope." Then, as we see his past self drinking the formula for the first time, captions tell us suddenly a miraculous transformation takes place. The boy glows with an unknown energy. Captions continue saying, using his newfound powers, meek young freshman Robbie Reynolds, the Sentry counters the blow swiftly. As we see Robbie defeating a school bully, no doubt an homage to Peter Parker beating Flash Thompson when he first got his powers. And we see this while in the present, Robert is opening the bottle of the formula that gave him his powers. But as we continue to get his origin from the past, the comic reads, that evening the resourceful freshman puts the finishing touches to the marvelous golden suit he has fashioned. Now that's just the beginning of his story. It gets quite a bit darker from here. But while we're talking Sentry, let me tell you about the insanity that is Big Bad Toy Store. Our shelves are full of collectibles from Big Bad because they're an amazing site for toys and collectibles from almost any fandom you can think of. So we're excited to have them back as a sponsor for this episode. But to give you a taste of the kind of inventory they have, they sent us a great haul of Marvel items to show you. And we're coming in hot with this Spider-Man No Way Home Marvel Legends Green Goblin 1/1 scale wearable helmet. Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man movie is now iconic, and the Green Goblin from the film is one reason why. So this life-size replica, which comes with a display stand, is gonna look dope on set. Next up, we have this trio of 1/6 and 1/10 scale figures from McFarlane Toys, starting with the Spider-Man inspired by Secret Wars issue 8 with all kinds of classic detail and an art card. Then we've got our boy Magneto with this awesome comic backdrop and sinister stare. And for the last of the three, we have the one and only Captain America. All of these are awesome and clearly created by comic fans for comic fans. But to top it all off, we have the sick Mezco Ghost Rider and Hell Cycle Vengeance Edition, which is a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive set. And as we've come to expect from Mezco toys, the detail is stellar with tons of articulation, custom fabric, flickering light up function, and more. And this is just a small sample of the wide range of collectibles you could find and add to your collection at BigBadToyStore.com. Just be sure to also check out their pile of loot system when you get to their site, because it allows you to stack products in your own curated pile of loot for up to 90 days and then ship them at the same time for a $4 flat rate. Just use our link in the description to get their in-stock and pre-order Marvel items at killer deals. Again, just click our link below. Okay, jumping back to Sentry's origin from the 2000 Sentry series, we return to the present where captions tell us your golden suit hangs in here, untouched, since the day you last wore it. If the Void truly has returned, you'll have no choice, Bob. You're going to have to wear it again. You're going to have to become the Sentry. The Super Serum, it's been years since you, it's been years. It comes over you in a rush. Warm, wonderful, an unutterable force. Like a million little exploding suns, it feels so good. Bob then drinks this serum and the memories flow. Welcome thoughts of glories past. It's as if you just opened a surprise package you sent yourself in the mail. You remember a picture, an iconic image that even you are proud of. You're not supposed to be proud, but this is different. The photograph is a reflection of you. It's the encapsulation of your benevolent intent that sent 6 billion people safely into dreamland over time. You watch over the world. It is your sworn duty. Robert tells himself, no, that didn't happen. Did that happen? It was a comic book you read when you were a kid or a TV show. As he's having all these thoughts and old memories come back to him, not knowing if they're real or not. Sentry then stares at the storm in his mind, says, but the Void is real. He has to be real. You know him almost as well as you know yourself. What's wrong with you? Why is it so hard to remember? As he remembers the Avengers fighting the Void long ago and defeating them, laughing, saying, not a chance, Iron Man. With the Avengers held captive, surely the mighty Sentry will soon follow. At which point, Sentry does show up sooner than the Void thought and defeats the Void, with the Void saying, I will return, Sentry, I will return. In the present, Robert says, I will return. He always said that. Even when you thought him beaten forever, he'd say it. He always kept his word. Something's happening, something indecipherable. You can no more describe it than swallow your own throat. It's there, right in front of you. Why can't you see it? Who are you? The short of it is, Robert Reynolds realizes that his old arch nemesis, the Void, is somehow returning, which forces his subconscious to remember who he once was. Now, obviously, the big question is, why did he forget he was a Sentry all those years ago in the first place? At this point, we'll jump to Act 2, where Robert goes in search of what happened and who he once was. We see Robert standing on top of a crane meeting with Mr. Fantastic. Mr. Fantastic says, you have some explaining to do, sir. How did you get up here? Robert answers, same way as always. I've been here before, Reed, many times. You just don't remember. You won't even try to. No one remembers me, and I can't explain why. Reed says, should I? And Robert answers, yes, I don't know how to make you understand. Somehow, everyone's been conditioned to forget I ever existed. You're supposed to think I'm just some drunk who took a wrong turn. I don't know what's happened. I think there may have been some kind of conspiracy. But as the issue continues, Reed and the rest of the Fantastic Four start to remember who Sentry is after finding a unicorn statue gifted to Reed by Reynolds when Reed attended his wedding, as well as finding a VHS tape Reed apparently recorded long ago to remind his present self of Sentry's existence, a tape that inevitably leads Reed to Doctor Strange to find out the truth. As the 5-issue series continues, the Sentry would meet other heroes like Hulk and Spider-Man, who also slowly begin to remember Robert Reynolds and who he was. In fact, that iconic picture of Sentry we saw in issue 1 that Robert was saying was a photograph, a reflection of himself, the encapsulation of his benevolent intent, was taken by Peter Parker long ago and actually won the Pulitzer Prize. With that said, it's in issues 4 and 5 of the series, the last 2 issues of this miniseries, that we learn why Sentry didn't know who he was and why the world forgot about him. You see, the big twist is that Sentry and the Void are one and the same. The Void, in essence, is just the repressed evil persona of Robert Reynolds that is magnified and powered by Sentry's own powers given to him by the serum. So when the Avengers and Sentry found out about this, they ultimately decided the Sentry must die. But not actually die, just die in the eyes of everyone on Earth, and even to Sentry himself. You see, the only way to stop the Void from escaping and destroying the world was to get rid of Sentry. But instead of killing Sentry in the traditional sense, since 1, that's borderline impossible, and 2, they wouldn't want to do that to their friend, Reed, Doctor Strange, and Robert created a device, the Sentry Watchtower, that made everyone on Earth forget that Robert Reynolds was Sentry, even Reynolds himself. And in doing so, this would effectively get rid of the Void, because if the Void and Sentry don't remember they existed, they're effectively dead. But as the 5-issue series comes to an end, the device that made everyone forget would be turned off, and Sentry would be remembered by everyone once again. However, this also meant the Void was free once again to attack Manhattan. This leads to Sentry talking to the public, assuring them the Void will submit as he calls on his fellow heroes to fight with him. They do, as we see Hulk, Spider-Man, Captain America, Angel, and more answer his call, ready to fight the Void. This then leads us into the Sentry Void one-shot, where we see Sentry and several Marvel heroes face off against the Void, but by the end of the issue, Robert realizes there's no way he can exist without the Void, and that the only way to stop the Void is to make himself and everyone else forget who he is once again, as he, Reed, and Strange reactivate the Watchtower, thus stopping the Void. But once again, the world forgets of Sentry's existence, although the comic ends with Robert seemingly still remembering who he really is. And just like that, we have the origin of one of the most powerful heroes in comics, meaning let's move on to publication history and story arcs. The first story that has to be mentioned is Brian Michael Bendis' New Avengers story from 2005. You see, during the post-Avengers Disassembled, which was a story that led to the OG Avengers falling apart, we got the New Avengers, and Sentry became a member of the New Avengers. Anyway, in the first issue of New Avengers, we see at the end of the issue, Robert Reynolds, aka the Sentry, is locked up in the Raft, which is a high-security prison just built for supervillains. We learned that Robert actually put himself there because he believed he killed his wife Lindy. More specifically, the Void did, his darker half. But after a massive jailbreak at the Raft started by Electro, Sentry ends up stepping in to help the Avengers. By issue 2 of the series, Carnage is freed and he starts going to town on everyone, even a few heroes, but Sentry swoops in and absolutely demolishes him by flying Carnage up into space and literally rips him in half with ease, killing Carnage once and for all. Throughout the series, after seeing Sentry's crazy display of power, the Avengers start digging into Sentry's story. They find out that his evil alter ego, the Void, isn't exactly what it seems. It's actually the result of a psychic virus planted in his mind by the villain Mastermind. The virus messed with Sentry's memories big time. In a wild twist, it turns out Sentry had offloaded his real memories into comic book writer Paul Jenkins. Yes, the real-life writer, who then turned them into a popular comic book inside the Marvel Universe. With some psychic help from Emma Frost, Sentry finally breaks free of the virus, remembers who he really is, and realizes he never actually killed his wife, and even remembers that his huge watchtower was hidden on top of Stark Tower the whole time. With his head finally clear, Sentry officially joins the New Avengers. The next epic Sentry story we have to mention is his brief but amazing appearance in World War Hulk. The World War Hulk story starts at the very end of Planet Hulk. It deals with Hulk on his way to Earth to get his revenge on the Illuminati, who sent him to Sakaar and ruined his life. Hulk then makes his way to New York City and broadcasts a message to the entire planet being like, yeah, the Illuminati needs to surrender and they have 24 hours to do so or I'm going to destroy all of Earth. So the Hulk's not messing around. He wants the Illuminati dead or he's willing to destroy all of Earth. At this point, it's just all-out war. Hulk and his Warbound are just destroying New York City and easily overpowering all of Earth's heroes like the Avengers, the X-Men, and Fantastic Four. Iron Man even breaks out a new Hulkbuster armor, but it's still not able to defeat the Hulk. Even the Sorcerer Supreme himself, Doctor Strange, tries to use all his magical power, summoning the demon Zom, now having the power of a demon, to fight Hulk, and it still doesn't work. It's at this point Sentry is called in to stop the Hulk. As Sentry comes out to fight the Hulk, he says, "Hello, old friend," punching the Hulk through an entire stadium and several buildings. Hulk then gets back up saying, "You don't want this fight, Sentry," but Sentry says, "Yes, God help me, I do, because you're the only one I could hit like this." As he punches the Hulk through more buildings, Hulk then gets up once more and says, "All right, never forget what happens next is on your hands." As he punches Sentry so hard in the face, an entire building explodes. But Sentry just says, "Good." As he continues to punch him in the face over and over, Sentry says, "Just once more." At which point Sentry finally says, "That's it," as he explodes with the power of 1 million suns, sending what looks like energy or lava all across Manhattan. With the city's surface looking like the surface of the sun, Sentry then tells the Hulk, "Bruce, you have to tell me something. Does it always feel this good when you finally let go?" As he starts punching the Hulk, the two then continue fighting as Sentry says, "Funny, all these years I tried to calm you down, and now at the end of it all, it's me who can't seem to stop. Goodbye, old friend." As the two continue to fight with Manhattan on fire from Sentry's power. Hulk then just tells Sentry, "Stupid, they can call you whatever they want, savior, destroyer. All that matters is what you choose." As the two punch each other so hard at the same time, they revert back to their human forms as Robert Reynolds, aka Sentry, just tells Bruce with a bloody beaten face, "Thanks," as he falls to the ground, with Bruce being the last man standing, with his eyes starting to glow green, ultimately telling us that the Hulk truly is strongest there is. But either way, this is one of the best Sentry battles of all time. Now, we also have the Dark Avengers storyline, where the Dark Avengers are formed by Norman Osborn, and Sentry ends up being a member. You see, after the Secret Invasion event, which was a storyline where the Skrulls try to take over Earth, and some heroes were revealed to actually be Skrulls, at the end of said story, Norman Osborn killed the Skrull Queen on live television, making him look like a savior to the world. Because of this, the United States was like, yo dude, you can do whatever the hell you want for national security. So what does Osborn do? He shuts down S.H.I.E.L.D., starts Hammer, and forms his own team of superheroes called the Dark Avengers. One of the key members of the team, the most powerful member of the team who he was able to recruit, is of course the Sentry. As we know, Sentry struggles with his own mental health, specifically balancing his good side and his dark side, the Void. So Norman uses this to manipulate him, being like, hey Bob, I could help you keep the Void at bay. With my help, you'll never have to worry about that dark side ever coming out again. I'm your friend. I've got the means to make sure it never happens. So because of this, Sentry feels like he has to stay with Norman and be part of his team. Basically, Sentry is manipulated into being into the Dark Avengers. Throughout the Dark Avengers storyline, we see that Norman really just wants Sentry on the team to be his ultimate weapon, manipulating him and ultimately just wanting the Void to show up so that he could point him as a weapon toward his enemies. Then in issue 2 of the Dark Avengers, Sentry straight up kills Morgana Le Fay. It gets so bad, the Void physically manifests several times throughout the series, and we see it looks like some shadow monster with tentacles or legs. This even goes into the Siege event where the Void literally rips Ares, the god of war, in half with his bare hands. Think about that. He ripped the god of war in half with his bare hands in one of the most gruesome panels in Marvel history. Then after that, Norman sent Sentry to attack Asgard, where the Void annihilates all of Asgard, literally destroying it. That's right, Sentry, or the Void, soloed all of Asgard. Now, we also have the 2018 Sentry series by Jeff Lemire, which is a great modern take on Sentry. It deals with Sentry just trying to live a normal life, not letting the Void escape. It's only a 5-issue series and a must-read for anyone wanting to know more about the character. But let's wrap up with Sentry's brief appearance in King in Black issue 1, where as a last-ditch effort, the Avengers called their big gun to defeat Null, and that of course is Sentry. When Sentry arrives, he instantly destroys one of Null's symbiote Celestials, and then proceeds to fly Null into space, but Null just grabs Sentry saying, let me introduce myself, as he starts to rip him in half, much like Sentry did to Ares. Sentry is all like, no, don't, the Void, you'll release him. But Null does anyway while saying, child, I am Null, Lord of the Abyss, God of the symbiotes. The darkness inside of you, that darkness bows to me. I am the Void. It's pretty insane, but these are several of the best story arcs Sentry has had in comic books. Now let's move on to powers and abilities. Sentry is often referred to as Marvel's Superman, mainly because of his power set. He has superhuman strength rivaling or potentially even greater than Hulk and Thor. Invulnerability, flight, superhuman speed, and enhanced senses, all powered by his ability to absorb solar radiation, as stated on Marvel's official website. This is where the term his power is like that of a million exploding suns come from. But the insane thing is, his power doesn't stop there. No. It greatly surpasses even that, because he also has energy projection. That's right, he could shoot all kinds of different forms of energy from his person. He even has telekinesis and telepathy, and then on top of that, he has a fantastic healing factor. He's also pretty much immortal, so even if you kill Sentry, you don't really kill Sentry, he always comes back. But then there's his molecular manipulation. That's right, Sentry can manipulate molecules, meaning he can alter all matter. That also makes him insanely powerful. Case in point, Sentry used this ability to defeat Molecule Man, whose main ability is molecular manipulation. And then we can't forget the Void, which is his repressed dark persona. The Void is an evil entity that on its own is extremely powerful, even exceeding Sentry's powers. And the kicker is, it's part of him. All around, Sentry is easily one of the most powerful superheroes in comic books, which is often why he's touted as Marvel's Superman, even though I would personally give that title to Hyperion, but you get the point. As for reading recommendations, check out the 2000 Sentry series by Paul Jenkins, the 2005 New Avengers title, World War Hulk, the Dark Avengers, the 2018 Sentry series, and King in Black, even though he doesn't last long, but that should be enough to get you guys started. There you have it, everyone, the history of Sentry, one of Marvel's most powerful heroes, and we find out this weekend if Marvel Studios has done him justice in the MCU. So let us know what you think about Sentry down in the comments. Other than that, we will see you next time when we talk about all things comics.